Welcome to week 11 of reading. Over the past few weeks, we have taken a look at different genres or types of stories. We've looked at fiction, which most of the time is telling us something that could be real, but in that particular book, it is not. And you can tell that a lot of times by the cartoon character drawings. We've also learned about nonfiction, which are stories that tell the facts. And that is something that we are very good at not only reading, but also remembering so that we can answer the questions. And then the past few weeks, we have looked at folk tales, fairy tales, and we have looked at how those stories are written, and they're written to tell, give a message or teach a message. We've seen different ways of um, looking at our stories. And this week, we're going to go back to nonfiction, but we will be looking at an article. So we know a story has many pages. That's why in class we will make the books at home. That's why I've encouraged you to print things out if you can, because just having that feel of a paper copy of a book sometimes will keep your attention just a little bit longer. So an article will look very similar to last week's genre, which were folk tales. Articles are generally no more than 2 pages, and they really don't have a lot of writing once you get in and take a look at it. It's a very short, simple way to provide information. Now, we have been working on writing in English, so we're going to be doing these English and reading lessons somewhat together because since these are short paragraphs that are explaining something, we have been working on topics and supporting details. So we will be taking um, the idea of writing paragraphs from this and taking it over to English, where you will actually be writing your very own paragraph right before Thanksgiving. So before we get started with our article, now we're going to be learning about energy this week. So we'll have a focus question, and that focus question will be, what source of energy do people use to do work? We're talking about things that we've already talked about this year. Solar energy, some of us call it sun. We talked about electricity. We also looked at battery powered. So, and gasoline, of course, as well. So, we will continue to look at the sources of energy. But before we could do that, we need to take a look at some of the vocabulary we're going to see this week. Just like in folk tales, nonfiction articles, most articles, fiction or nonfiction, will not have a glossary. So, there's going to be some words we need to know before we can get started. The first word we're going to be taking a look at is electricity. And electricity is energy created by moving particles. Okay? That is a noun. It is something. It is something. Right? It's a thing. Our next word will be electron. So we're dealing with energy, and if you remember anything from science class, electrons have a charge. They're a particle that can move. So let's read about an electron. That is a particle in an atom that orbits the nucleus and has a negative electrical charge. So a nucleus, remember, is the middle of something. So an electron circles around to get its energy. Our next word, speaking of energy, will be exactly that. Energy. Energy is the power to do work, make a change, or move objects. Now, again, this is a thing. So it is a noun. Some people will think, well, if you're changing something or moving something, that's that particular word. Energy is a noun telling you what it does. So please make sure you remember that. After energy, we will be taking a look at a big word that we've looked at before. That is environment, and that is our world. Okay? And then the very last word, since we're talking about energy and we're talking about how to provide energy, make things move, that word would be machine. And that's anything we can use, um, anything we have that will use energy to help a person. So let's get into our energy unit this week. Focus on that question of how is the energy used.